Hopefully you caught my Atelier Cologne haul video recently. I was a little sick in that video. Not COVID, don't worry, just a little off. But you know what? We discussed a fragrance in that video called Love Osmanthus. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and do a video featuring 3 brand spanking new Osmanthus focused fragrances. And today I'm talking about 3 of them. Of course, Love Osmanthus from Atelier Cologne. Also the new one from Louis Vuitton called Etual Filant, this one right here. Last but not least, it's Osmanthe Kodoshan from the house of Maison Crivelli. 3 fragrances featuring Osmanthus, 3 fragrances going in different directions. And if you want to find out all about Osmanthus plus these 3 fragrances, then please stay tuned. Thanks so much for tuning in. This is Sebastian with Smelling Great Fragrance Reviews. That's right, today I'm talking about Osmanthus in fragrances. How many of you are fans of this note? How many of you have never heard of this note? Yeah, I'm going to tell you what it's all about, what it smells like, where does it come from, and all that good stuff. Plus, we're going to discover these 3 new fragrances that are, focusing on this note, Osmanthus. The Louis Vuitton Etual Filant, Love Osmanthus from Atelier Cologne, and also Osmanthe Kodoshan from Maison Crivelli. So it seems like there is a trend in Osmanthus when all of a sudden we got 3 different fragrances that features this note. Does that make sense to you guys? So maybe there's more out there that are coming out or that have just come out that I'm not aware of, but I'm definitely going to dig into this note because I really do enjoy this note. Just the fact that it's a flower that smells like something different, that makes it a very, very unique note for me, and I love that about it. So either way, find out all about Osmanthus and these 3 fragrances, but before I tell you all about them, if this is your first time tuning into the channel and you still haven't subscribed, please do click the subscribe button below and also click the bell so that you'll be notified for future videos and giveaways. So the first time I started noticing Osmanthus in fragrances was definitely early on in my journey, but I really didn't dig into it because sometimes when there are certain notes that I can't access physically, like certain flowers or trees and herbs and things like that, I just kind of dismissed them. Not dismiss them, but kind of like, move on. But as I started experiencing fragrances that did feature this note, I had to kind of dig deep into it. And the fact that this is a flower that smells like stone fruit, peaches, apricots, nectarines, but it can also smell leathery. So this is something that I've read about this particular flower, and also the fact that I've experienced fragrances that have this leathery undertone where it's kind of fruity. And also it can smell like fresh fruit and it can also smell like dried fruit. Those are the 2 kinds of stone fruits that you can experience with this Osmanthus note. It depends on what they do with the note, I guess. But I have experienced fragrances that featured the Osmanthus where it's fresh, but also some light leathery undertones, which we have here, and also some more of like a dried fruity experience, dried apricot-y experience, or peaches and nectarines. So that's what Osmanthus is, and I know that it comes from China. China also uses it as a tea. They boil it and drink it, and I've thought about buying some. Never have done it because I'm kind of like a little tired of drinking tea lately, so maybe one day we'll do, and I want to experience what this Osmanthus is like as a tea that you drink. If you guys have tried it, please do let me know, and if you're fans of Osmanthus and fragrances, please also let me know. Put a comment down so I can find out. So that's what Osmanthus is, and we're going to start off with the first fragrance, Etual Filant from Louis Vuitton. This is a brand spanking new release, and it's in the ladies lineup of fragrances, but interesting that this one is in the ladies lineup, but the next 2 are in the unisex lineup. They're considered unisex. And so the fact that these 2 kind of are distant, very, very distant cousins is interesting that they would put this in a ladies collection and this be a unisex, So we've been talking a lot about gender and things like that lately. I don't find this to be ultra feminine, but then again, it depends on you guys, and there's no real gender between with fragrances. For me, I just wear whatever I like. But with this one, it's a 100 ml bottle, 265, it's eau de parfum concentration, and the 3 notes that they credit are Osmanthus, Magnolia, and Jasmine. But when I smell this one, I definitely pick up some citruses. There's definitely going to be some kind of a citrus in here because it's very, very fresh and citrusy while it's being this fruitiness. And the fruits in here are definitely the fresh stone fruits. I pick up some apricot-y touches, and I also pick up some peach or nectarine. Definitely not dry. But what I also pick up from Osmanthus as a note is loquats. I don't know if you guys know this particular fruit. It reminds me of loquats a little bit. So it's kind of similar. Loquats and apricots have little similarities to me. So I pick up this kind of a smell in here with this particular fragrance. But there's also some light berry-like touches in here as well. It's just a nice meshing of these fruity kind of touches from the Osmanthus note with the Magnolia and the Jasmine. And of course, as I said, it's very citrusy, even though they don't credit the citruses in here. It's fresh, it's refreshing, musky at the same time, and juicy comes to mind. Lots of juiciness. Both of these fragrances are ultra juicy, and that's what makes them very easy to wear, very fresh and refreshing at the same time, you know? One other thing I want to say, a couple of other things I want to say about this one. There is a DNA that's running throughout this particular collection, especially when it comes to the feminine targeted fragrances. There's a watery DNA, almost like there's water in the fragrance as a water note. Not aquatic, not marine, but I could say aquatic, but more related to fresh water rather than seawater or marine fishy water. That's kind of here in the DNA, and it's definitely present in the DNA of the woman's collection. And so it kind of immediately reminds me of the fragrances that Jacques Cavalier, who created the, you know, for the ladies collection. And again, even though this is in the women's collection, you know, they're both fresh, very similar to me. So is it really feminine? It's just what you'll decide when you smell it. But if you like the idea of fruity, fresh fragrances, I think this is definitely one that you should try. I think it's definitely great. Between the two, this one is a little more of a favorite, especially since I've already gotten a compliment with this with masks on. But I definitely recommend this one too, so you should try it. So this is Louis Vuitton's Étoile Filant. Brand spanking new from the Louis Vuitton fragrances collection. But you know, I also want to mention, I forgot this, but now that it's come to me, I should definitely mention it. And I was expecting a little more leather in here, but it's definitely not leathery. Given the fact that Louis Vuitton has these kind of like leather goods and things like that, I thought this might be a little more leathery, knowing the fact that Osmanthus can go leathery. And even though as it's drying down, there is some light leathery woody touches, it's not extreme, so it's definitely on the fresh side. So if you like freshy fragrances, definitely try this one. The next one I want to talk about is Love Osmanthus from Atelier Cologne. And this one, as I mentioned in the video, when I did my first impressions in the haul video for Atelier Cologne fragrances, I really liked it there, and I also really like it here. And I think it's between these two, even though they have somewhat of similarities, not identical obviously. I think the only thing that's similar here is the freshness and also the Osmanthus smell. This one really has some leathery touches in here, and I prefer this one a little more than this one. This one, there's a little more substance, and the fact that the leather comes out a little more on me when I'm wearing it in comparison to that one gives it a little more of a substance. But I also like this a little more because here, with the fact that this one reminds me of fresh stone fruit, this one I think has a combination of fresh stone fruit and also a little bit of a dried stone fruit kind of a smell to me, which makes it for a unique experience. So this is, again, 2021 launch, 100 ml, 142. Atelier Cologne calls their fragrances Cologne Absolue, so the concentration is their own named concentration. The notes are Italian lemon, Chinese osmanthus, American cedar. And the fact that this has this American cedar note has a little more of a substance, but as I said, I did get a little bit of a more leathery experience with this one on the dry down, but the smell is fantastic. Really, really great smell. Very, very in line with other Atelier Cologne fragrances like, you know, Bergamot Soleil, Orange Sanguine, Pomelo Paradis, Clementine California, and the list goes on and on and on. It's that kind of a great freshie. If you like those fragrances and you like the idea of a freshy, fruity experience, definitely try this one because it's definitely totally different than the other fragrances they have, as I mentioned, but it's still in line with its kind of like freshness, overly fresh fragrances, which really, really will be great. I feel like this will be perfect to wear in the summertime. Both of these will be, you know, as a great pick-me-up any time of the year when there's a little more bit of like a dark, you know, cold weather out there or something. I think these will be great, great uplifting fragrances because the fruity touches in these fragrances are very, very happy, you know? They give me a very, very happy experience. But just keep in mind, this one does get a little leathery as it's drying down. Not a lot, a little more than this, but not overwhelming. But a fun fragrance. I really like it. I think this will be put to use perfectly in the summertime. And one more thing I want to mention as well. I did say that it's a combination of both fresh stone fruit and dried stone fruit, but once again, I do get a little bit of a smell of loquats in here. I don't know if you guys know this fruit, but there is a little bit of a smell of loquats in here. And I've always noticed that with the smell of Osmanthus in fragrances. Either way, great scent from Atelier Cologne. I think they keep cranking out some amazing releases in this fresh series. Love Osmanthus, is definitely highly recommended for me, so hope you guys get to try it. And last but not least, it's Maison Crivelli's Osmanthe Kodoshan. So this is a house that I did a video on about 3 months ago on the channel, and it's basically an overview of their house. If you don't know anything about them, you should go catch that video. I discussed 4 fragrances in that video, but this is their latest launch. It's Osmanthe Kodoshan. Again, it's focusing on Osmanthus. Eau de Parfum concentration, 100 ml, 234, and that is the EU price. So I don't think they're selling directly here yet, but their website, of course, you can buy directly from there and they'll ship. And the notes in this one is a lot more complex than the last two, and it's also a deeper, darker experience in comparison to the other one. So for me, well, I'll tell you about it. This one features notes of star anise, Sichuan pepper, Osmanthus, black tea, patchouli, tobacco, cistus. Hearing those notes, you'll see that it's a lot more complex, it's a lot more intense, but definitely has unique things about this particular fragrance because it's a lot more deeper and richer for me. But what happens with this one, as soon as you spray it, you have that green star anise, kind of a licoricey kind of a start of the fragrance. And that's what kickstarts the fragrance, and it's a little spicy, it's slightly boozy at that time, but it gets really spicy with that Sichuan pepper. And then by this time, the Osmanthus is kicking in and you're experiencing a little bit of fruitiness, but for me it doesn't go ultra fruity like the other two for me because we have competing notes in this one. The woods are a little more strong, the tobacco is a little more strong, the patchouli definitely, and also the black tea. And I feel like they toned down the fruitiness of the Osmanthus, so it doesn't shine as much as the other ones where it's very, very bright and uplifting. This one definitely more on the darker, wintry kind of an experience. But you know, I enjoy wearing this one because it's ultra spicy, and I love that star anise kickstart at the top. And then I felt like the spiciness of the Sichuan pepper with the what fruitiness I got from the Osmanthus was a great mingling of those 3 notes together. But I like that it ends up being an ambery experience and a dark woody experience. So that's Osmanthe Kodoshan from the house of Maison Crivelli. Let me know if you know this house. Let me know if you know their fragrances. And also let me know if you've tried any of these fragrances. Which one sounds the best to you? Which one would you rush out to sample? I know 2 of them are pretty familiar houses. Maison Crivelli is definitely more of an up-and-coming house, a niche house, but I think they have some great fragrances. All 3 of the brands have great fragrances. But let me know if you're excited about this note, if you never knew what it was. Let me know if you like the idea of these 3 fragrances and which one sounds the best to you. Put a comment down so I can find out. Either way, guys, thanks so much for tuning in today. I'm going to dig deeper into this note of Osmanthus. I like it. It's unique. I like the whole fruity, leathery thing. It's very, very interesting. So maybe perhaps in the future I will do a top 10 or a top 20 Osmanthus fragrances. And last but not least, put a comment down with your favorite Osmanthus fragrances that are not mentioned here in this video. I'd like to find out some more Osmanthus fragrances so I can do perhaps a top 10 or a top 20 sometime down the line. Anyway, I appreciate you tuning in today. If you have any questions or comments, please list below. Otherwise, please like this video. Please share it. Follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye.